believers across the country celebrated Eid al-Fitr today, the day marking the end of the holy month of Ramadan, with thousands of believers praying in main squares and mosques across the country. After the prayer, the feast of Eid al-Fitr continued with visits of important figures in the country of the Muslim community. Representatives of media, politicians and ambassadors congratulated Albanians for the feast. During his official visit in Berlin, the DP chair, Lulzim Basha, met with the EU Budget and Human Resources Commissioner, taking to social media to provide updates on the discussions. It's 6 o'clock on Tuesday, the 4th of June 2019. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to RTV Ora's English edition. My name is Alexandra, bringing you the only daily update of the local Albanian news translated into English. Muslim believers across the country celebrated Eid al-Fitr today, marking the end of the holy month of Ramadan. Thousands of Muslim believers prayed in main squares and mosques across the country. During the prayers, messages of peace and harmony for society and the family were delivered. In Tirana this morning, thousands of Muslim believers gathered in Skanderberg Square for the capital's public prayers. Though many have criticised the square for being too large, in this instance, the extraordinary level of participation saw it a confining space for the Muslim believers. The participation in the prayers by representatives of other religious faiths once again showed the spirit of cooperation and religious coexistence that our country offers. For Tirana's Mufti Uli Gura, this day was ideal for issuing strong advice to the politicians, demanding they cooperate and take leadership of the country seriously. The Albanians who were in the square for today's prayer are a testimony of what we are willing to invest in, discuss and work towards for the benefit of Albanians. Albania must be the first, then the others must come, declared Uli Gura. Some attendees had been participating in the prayers for Eid al-Fitr since as young as 6 years of age. After the prayer, the feast of Eid al-Fitr continued with visits to important figures in the Muslim community of Albania. Representatives of media, politicians and ambassadors all congratulated Albanians for the feast, while also issuing political messages. Representatives of politics, media, diplomats and leaders of other religious faiths visited the Albanian Muslim community on the occasion of the feast of Eid al-Fitr. On this distinguished day for Muslim believers, Mayor of Tirana, Erion Veliaj, spoke of Albania as a role model for religious coexistence and appealed for reflection by the opposition. As a symbol of respect for religions in Albania, Bishop George Frendo emphasised that religion is unifying amongst Albanians. At the same time, the world leader of the Bektashi community, Edmond Brahimaj, set up a lunch for Muslim believers. The chair of the Democratic Party, Lulzim Basha, is on an official visit to Berlin, focusing on the political situation in our country and introducing a government platform. The leader of the Albanian opposition met with the EU Budget and Human Resources Commissioner, Günther Oettinger, stating via social networks that he has gained maximum commitment for projects to develop the country. Today, in Berlin, I had a fruitful conversation about Albania, economic development and important projects that will improve the lives of our citizens with the EU Commissioner for Budget and Human Resources, Günther Oettinger. We spoke of enlargement and maximum commitment to employment, well-being and economic development for citizens of Albania as Europe, posted Basha via Facebook. A day earlier, Basha gave a lecture in the Western Balkans Dialogue in Berlin, where the main CDU's personalities were in participation. At the centre of the discussions with senior personalities from German politics and industry, in addition to enlargement, was also the intensification of political and economic cooperation with Germany. Foreign diplomats stationed in our country cannot provide a ready-made solution for the current crisis in Albanian politics, instead calling on the parties to sit for dialogue. Italian Ambassador Alberto Cutillo gave a speech from the city of Shkodra during which he expressed his disagreement to the postponement of local elections without a political agreement, because such a thing, in his opinion, could affect the institutions of the country. At this point, all the rules are fragile, as it is difficult to determine which is more appropriate, going to elections without the opposition or postponing the election. For the second solution to be appropriate, there must be an agreement between the parties, because to postpone the elections without a political deal affecting the constitution is wrong, said Ambassador Cutillo. A few days before the decision of the EU Council of Ministers, the Italian ambassador discussed who the critical states for opening negotiations for Albania are. There are countries that are puzzled in regards to Albania in the EU, but there are also states with political movements that are opposed to enlargement not only with Albania. It is no surprise to say that France and the Netherlands have expressed their position against Albania's enrolment. The Netherlands is even discussing in the parliament the removal of visa liberalisation for Albania, said Coutinho. Alberto Coutinho acknowledged that all possibilities regarding the negotiation can happen. They can be opened, they can be postponed, or Albania could even receive a negative response from EU member states. There are three options after the recommendation. The first is that all countries unanimously approve the opening of negotiations, and this is the outcome Albanians want. The second is to deny the opening of negotiations on the grounds that, despite the positive recommendation, there is still a lot to be done. While the third option is that the European Commission postpones making a decision, as there is not much time between the recommendation issued on May 29 and the meeting on June 20th for the decision on the negotiations. The file is voluminous, so it would not be surprising if some countries say that they would need more time to review it, concluded Coutinho. EU businesses are leaving Albania. Instat data shows that 141 enterprises have finalised their activity over the past year. Albania noted 6,259 foreign-owned businesses operating locally for 2018, of which 4,056 were from European Union countries. But despite the withdrawal of businesses from the European Union, there is an increase in ventures from other countries outside the European Union. According to the last report by the European Commission, Albania is considered as problematic in regards to competition, law enforcement in relation to property ownership, and stability of fiscal policies. Foreign investors in Albania have mostly 1 to 4 employees and operate in the trade sector. Meanwhile, enterprises with over 50 employees occupy only a very small portion of our economy. European businesses are mostly from our two neighbouring countries of Greece and Italy, with enterprise owners and co-owners of Italian and Greek origin representing 52.8% of total foreign joint ventures. These investments are mainly concentrated in Tirana and Durrës. Throughout 2018, the Albanian economy was mostly represented at a rate of 90% by small business, which are defined as having a maximum of 4 employees and are often family-run businesses. Meanwhile, only 1.2% of enterprises have headcounts of more than 50 employees, an unchanged report for several years showing that economic development remains difficult. The final farewell of the great master of comedy from Vlora, Muhammad Liko, who passed away on May 30 at the age of 64, was held today. The memorial in honour of the great master was held in the lobby of the Petro Marko Theatre in Vlora. The memorial service for the parodist, who provided so many smiles, was attended by friends, fans, citizens, politicians and cultural personalities from across the country. Personalities from every city of Albania came to honour Muhammad Liko, tearing up as they expressed their condolences for this great loss. A festoon of flowers for Muhammad Liko was also sent in gratitude by the Prime Minister of Albania, Edi Rama. Many generations have grown up knowing Muhammad Liko's humour. His parodies will be remembered generation after generation, and his jokes will never cease to bring about laughter. Muhammad Liko is truly unforgettable. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of RTV Ora, thank you and good night.